Whatever you can fit.
Don't say that. I'll eat her up.
Just like a surgeon.
Yep. And now all of a sudden he gets picky. First he wants all the white oak, wants the cherry, wants the hickory. Now he wants full loads of white oak.
That's a load.
Full loads of cherry.
That's a load. That's a good load. I like it. I want to strap it so I don't bust my sides out.
Yeah, and so the DOT leaves you alone.
That's the main reason. I could care less about the saving lives.
Give him that ugly piece of elm over there too.
No, that's okay. I'll pass on the Satanwood. So as you just saw, I got some cherry from Jason. So this was the load I got, I don't know, like a week ago right here. All cherry. There's a couple really good ones in there. And then this is the load that I just dumped now. And again, there's a couple good ones in there. This is a thing of beauty right here. That's a nice one. But a lot of the stuff looks like this. So it's got a big curve to it, big fat butt end here. That's a pretty good one right there. That one's not terrible. It's got some sweep to it. That one there is not terrible either. So there's probably, I would say, half of this that I could run through the processor. That's a really good one right there. So about half of it. So what I'll do is I'll sort this out with my tractor with the grapple, and I'll set the nasty stuff to one side and all the stuff that can go through the processor on the other side. And then someday I'll get this processed. Now I'm not in a super big hurry with the cherry because unlike oak, cherry dries very fast. I can have this stuff cut and split in a matter of 2-3 months out here in the sun in bins. It'll dry really, really quick. And the people that I sell it to, for the most part, are people that smoke meat, and they're okay if it's a little wet. What I mean by a little wet, as long as it's under 25%, they can get it to burn. A little bit of moisture, same with the hickory. If it's 25% to 20%, they like that because it actually smolders better for them, burns a little slower, gives them a lot of smoke. People ask me all the time, what do people want for smoking meat? And it is white oak, it's cherry, and it's hickory. And a lot of the people that I sell to are people that are homeowner type smokers, and they just want something that's going to work for them. And some of them think that they have to have it so that it's green wood, and they want it to smoke a lot, and that's fine. But the problem is I got to produce it and then take it to them right away. A lot of the cherry I have, a lot of times, I'll process a load of it and I'll have a couple piles like this, or even half of a semi-load. It'll sit for a year. Well, it dries out in 3-4 months. It's down to 15% real quick because cherry dries really fast, like soft maple, aspen, birch, stuff like that. That stuff dries real quick. So, like I said, they're okay if it's a little bit wet for smoking. Some of them want it more wet. I've had guys that have come with an axe and they'll split open a couple pieces of hickory or split open some cherry or even some white oak, and they want to check it on the inside. They put their lips up to it and they kind of feel it, and they want to know that it's not dry. They want it kind of somewhat moist on the inside, which if that's what they want, that's fine. But it's just hard to maintain a balance. I mean, once you process it, it's going to keep drying until it reaches that equilibrium, which is 17, 16, 15 maybe 14%. And that's about as low as it'll ever get. Because we live in an area here where we do get rain, we do have some humidity. If you're out in the southwest, you might get some wood that will be in the single digits, you know, that's 7, 8, 9%. We don't get that here. And I know I talk to guys that are in other parts of the United States, especially on the far northwest coast, where they get, you know, 20 feet of rain a day there. It seems to rain all the time. Their wood never gets very dry. 20% is about as good as it gets. I mean, some of them will tell me they can get it lower if they keep it on, you know, off the ground, stacked or in piles, but then covering the top and just keeping it so the rain can't get it. But they have such a humid climate there that it's hard to get wood much drier than that. So that's what they tell me. But here we can get it in the teens, and then people are very happy. So like I said, I'm going to separate this out. The ones that can go through the processor, I'll make a little pile. I'll probably just grab them and I'll take them up onto the concrete slab, and I'll find a spot where I can set them off to the side. And then the other ones can stay out here, and then the rest of the odd ones, well, I just saw something. Look at that. That's what you like to see, that and that. Look at that. A couple screws in there. I should mark that right away so I don't miss. I'm going to go get my spray paint right now, actually, and mark that. We'll get it right now. Another reason to have some spray paint around is to mark stuff like that. I used it for marking logs to separate them from the dry ones from the wet one as I'm processing, but all I want to do is just make sure I don't cut that with the chainsaw. So there we go. That should stand out. I don't see any other ones in there that I can see, but I always try to keep my eye out if I see a nail or a bolt or a screw eye, something like that. I try to mark them. Sometimes I'll put a piece of flagging on it. I got some ribbon for marking trees and trails and stuff like that, and I'll mark it. But that'll stand out pretty good, because I do not want to hit it with a chainsaw, especially with a processor, and have problems happen, because that looks like it's one of those hardened ones. That would be a bad thing to hit. So there's the cherry. This is all I've got right now. Now, I have bought loads of cherry in the past. I've bought semi-loads or half loads and processed it, and it's awesome. I love processing cherry. I probably will buy some more, but the thing is there's not a lot of it around here. It's kind of hit and miss as far as getting it. In an area where they're logging, you might get, you know, a semi-load. If they're doing a clear cut, you might have 5 or 10% cherry, if that. And so it's not really enough for them to really separate it. You kind of just get it mixed in with other things quite often. And then I try to separate it. Same with hickory. I don't get a big bunch of hickory, and even the loggers tell me hickory's hard to come by. And when they get it, it's sporadic. It's, you know, 4 or 5 trees on the edge of a woods or a tree line. They'll have a few of them, stuff like that. There's not a lot of it around here. And so when I get it, I try to make it special and separate it, and then have it so that I can process it separately and keep it separate, because people will pay more for it. Now, people will ask me, you know, what's the price of the wood difference here, and that's what I'm going to cover right now. My pine is the lowest price. Pine or softwoods. So anything that's a red pine, white pine, jack pine, Scotch pine, balsam fir, spruce, all that stuff is kept separate. And I've been selling it for $100 per face cord, but I think I'm going to go to $110, because the people that buy it from me, they just want it for campfire wood, and they don't care. So 1/3 of a cord, 100, 110. Some people say, my gosh, how do you get that for pine? Well, it's just as much work to make it out of pine as it is oak and hickory as far as making the firewood. Still got to cut it, still got to split it, still got to handle it, still got to deliver it. So I don't want to work for less, really, doing the same amount of work, but it is a lower grade wood in that it doesn't put out as much heat. But the people I'm selling to are not buying it for heat. They're buying it for campfire wood, for fires. And I myself love softwoods for campfires. I had a couple fires the last 4 nights, I think. Well, 3 of the last 4 nights I had fires at my house while I was working on the laptop on videos for you guys to watch. And I started out with a little bit of everything. I throw in some ash and throw in some oak, or I might throw in some whatever else I have. I got a little bit of everything. Soft maple, hard maple, chunks of oak chunks. But I notice as it gets darker out, the flame just isn't that great. So then I'll grab a couple pieces of spruce or white pine or red pine, throw that in there, and the flames just take off, and I got a nice big rip roaring fire, and that's what I like. So for campfires, especially, pine is fine. So there's that. Then the next wood up from there is my mixed hardwood, price-wise. And my mixed hardwood can be anything. and it is everything. But I generally will try to take out the cherry, I try to take out the hickory, I try to take out the white oak, I try to separate out the red oak, I try to separate out the hard maple. So the higher quality woods for people that heat with wood or people that want a better wood, I take a lot of that out of there. So in my mixed hardwood, I mean, you could have 1 or 2 pieces of that mixed in with, say, 1/3 of a cord. You could have an armful of them. But a lot of times what I'll do is I'll have a lot of ash in there right now because I'm getting a lot of ash. There's going to be elm in there. There's going to be soft maple. There's probably going to be some birch, quite often a little bit of birch. You might get some aspen in there or poplar, and a lot of people say, poplar, that's junk wood. No, not for campfire wood. It all burns. There could be apple wood in there, which I know some people would say, why aren't you separating out that apple wood? Because I only get a few sticks a year, so I just mix it in there and they get it. It could have ironwood. Same with ironwood. Ironwood is high quality wood, but I don't get that much. If I buy, say, a semi-load 12 full log cords of hard maple, I might only have half of a full cord of ironwood in there, or hornbeam as a lot of people call it. I don't get a lot of it, so I just mix it right in with the hard maple. But there might be some of that mixed in with my mixed hardwood also. Along with that, there might be some box elder occasionally. Actually, I've got right now probably a half a semi-load of box elder that when I process that, I don't want to have that be like the only thing in that bunch that I'm processing. So that section in the bin is just full of box elder. I'm going to spread it out so that I mix in a lot of ash and a lot of the other stuff in there with it, because I don't want it to be just one kind of wood. I want it to be a wide variety. And again, some people would say, oh, that's trash wood. Well, you know what? All wood burns. Soft maple and box elder and birch, cherry, they'll put about the same amount of heat out. And a lot of the people I'm selling to, like I said, they're not buying the wood for the heat. I mean, yes, heat is nice. They like it for their fireplaces, fire pits, especially if it's early in the year or late in the year. But most of these people want flame. They want fire. They want something that's going to burn today really good. That's what they want. So that's why that stuff is mixed in there. And then from there, like I said, I will separate out my cherry. Oh, and the mixed hardwood, I get $130 per 1/3 of a cord right now. So a full cord is $390. $400 seems to be kind of going right around the United States. Some areas I know you can get it for half of that, but then there's some areas where you pay twice as much as that. So I'm kind of in the middle. So like I said, the cherry, the hickory, and the white oak, I will separate those out, and those are more of the specialty woods. And those woods right now I'm getting $140, and I'm probably going to go to $150 for a 1/3 of a cord, because it's hard to get, and people that want it, and they'll pay the price. And then my other wood that I separate out that people will buy specifically, there's people that really love oak, and so all my red oak gets separated out, and I also separate all the hard maple out. So that's kind of like different species. But once in a while, I'll get someone that will want a full cord of wood, and they're fine with a 1/3 of it being hard maple, a 1/3 of it being oak, a 1/3 of it being ash, or whatever. People like varieties of woods, and I think that's great too. So that in a nutshell is what I do. So there's the new load, there's the old load, and right now I'm going to go do some tractor work. I got stuff I got to get done. You're going to see that tomorrow. I think we're going to do some cutting of wood. That's what we're going to do. See you tomorrow morning, 5:30 a.m. Good night, Irene.